Hey Queens, welcome back to Vibrant Fam Vibes, your daily dose of fun, straight up drama, and the kind of real sisterhood talks we all crave.
Whether you're glowing, going through it, or just here for the mess, you're home.
Grace and Nina were born into a family that valued ambition and hard work. Raised in a small town, their bond was inseparable during their childhood. Grace, always the older, more responsible sister, felt an innate duty to look after Nina. Nina, on the other hand, was the dreamer, filled with an infectious energy that often pushed boundaries, but lacked the discipline Grace exhibited. While Grace excelled in academics, Nina was drawn to creative pursuits, painting, sculpting, and later baking. Their parents nurtured their talents in their own ways, but there was a clear expectation that both would eventually settle into stable careers. Grace's path seemed clear from the beginning. She was going to be a leader in the corporate world, following a career in architecture that had always fascinated her. Nina, however, found herself at a crossroads, torn between her love for art and her desire for financial security. As they entered adulthood, their paths diverged. Grace went off to university on a scholarship, while Nina stayed behind to study culinary arts. Both women found themselves immersed in their respective careers, but as they grew older, they drifted further apart, busy with their own lives and dreams. Grace moved to New York City after completing her studies, securing a prestigious job at an architectural firm. The city was a fast-paced, relentless place where she quickly learned to navigate office politics, client demands, and tight deadlines. She poured herself into her work, designing towering buildings that would define skylines. Her career was on an upward trajectory, but deep down, something felt missing. Despite her success, Grace often found herself lonely. She would think back to the simpler days when she and Nina would laugh together, sharing stories and dreams. Grace tried reaching out to her sister a few times, but Nina's own life seemed so far removed from hers. Nina had become absorbed in her small bakery business, which she had started with high hopes but low resources. Grace's professional life continued to soar, but her personal life felt hollow. She had sacrificed relationships for her career, pushing away the very people she cared about, including Nina. She became more absorbed in her work, but no matter how many accolades she received, she felt an emptiness that none of her accomplishments could fill. Deep down, she knew her happiness depended on reconnecting with Nina, but her own pride and busy schedule made that hard to pursue. Nina's journey was different. She opened a small bakery with a dream of blending her love for art and food, but it wasn't easy. Despite her creative talent, she struggled with the business side of things. Finances, marketing, and scaling the business were foreign to her. The bakery, though a beautiful expression of her artistic vision, barely made enough money to keep going. Her supplies were expensive, and she couldn't afford a professional marketing team to help her grow. Nina often felt that she wasn't cut out for the business world. She had the talent, but lacked the strategy and discipline to push through the difficult times. Often, she would close the bakery early, retreating into her art, painting murals and designing pastries in the quiet of her kitchen. It was in these moments of solitude that Nina felt closest to herself. Yet, the pressure to succeed, especially with the financial strain, was weighing heavily on her. Despite these challenges, Nina continued to chase her dream, hoping that one day things would turn around. She didn't tell Grace about the mounting pressure, feeling embarrassed that her older sister, so successful and composed, might judge her for not being able to make her own dreams come true. But deep down, Nina missed the support they once shared as sisters and often wondered what would have happened if she had pursued something more practical like Grace. One evening, after weeks of sleepless nights and anxiety about her struggling business, Nina called Grace in a panic. The conversation was raw and emotional. Nina cried as she told Grace how difficult things had become. "Grace, I don't know if I can keep going," she confessed, her voice shaking. "This is all I've ever wanted, and it's just slipping away from me. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong." Grace, though initially surprised, listened carefully. She could hear the desperation in Nina's voice and realized that her sister was on the verge of giving up. Grace promised to help Nina despite her own busy schedule. "I'll help you get back on track," Grace assured her. "You're not alone in this." The phone call marked a turning point in their relationship. Grace began researching ways to help Nina, contacting a few investors and even offering some of her own money to help her sister turn the business around. She knew this was Nina's dream, and for the first time in years, Grace was going to put everything aside to help her. Grace's efforts paid off. She raised enough money to help Nina expand the bakery. Nina used the funds to redesign the space, adding art pieces, creating a more inviting atmosphere, and even developing a signature line of pastries that reflected her artistic vision. The bakery, which had once struggled to get attention, began to see an influx of customers, drawn by the vibrant and unique design of Nina's treats. Sisterhood Bakes became a symbol of Nina's resilience and Grace's support. They both worked side by side, Grace offering her business expertise, while Nina poured her soul into the creative side of the bakery. The sisters had finally found a rhythm, combining their strengths to turn the bakery into a thriving business. It was no longer just a place to get baked goods. It was an artistic expression of Nina's talents and a testament to their bond as sisters. The success of the bakery was bittersweet for Grace, who realized that she had neglected her own emotional needs for so long. Watching Nina flourish filled her with pride, but it also reminded her that family and relationships were what truly mattered in life. As the bakery grew, Nina became more ambitious. She received numerous offers to expand, including one from a seemingly reputable businessman who had connections in the food industry. He promised to help her take the bakery to new heights, offering a large investment in exchange for a partnership. Nina, eager to grow and unsure of how to handle such an opportunity, agreed. She transferred a portion of her savings to the man, hoping this would be her big break. However, as time went on, the businessman grew increasingly elusive. He stopped responding to Nina's calls and emails, and the money she had sent was never returned. At first, Nina thought it was just a delay, but weeks turned into months, and the promises remained unfulfilled. When she attempted to meet him in person, he was nowhere to be found. It slowly dawned on her that she had been scammed. The man was a fraud, and her hard-earned money was gone. Nina was crushed. The dream she had fought so hard for now seemed at risk of crumbling. She had trusted the wrong person, and now she didn't know where to turn. In her darkest moment, Nina reached out to Grace again, heartbroken. Grace, upon hearing the news, was furious but determined to help. "This is not the end," Grace assured her sister. "We'll fix this. I'll make sure this man gets what he deserves." Grace contacted a friend who specialized in fraud cases and asked for his help. The investigator worked tirelessly, tracking down the scammer and gathering evidence of his fraudulent activities. Meanwhile, Nina, devastated by the betrayal, began to question her ability to continue. But Grace was there every step of the way, offering unwavering support. "You've worked too hard to let this man take everything from you," Grace said, motivating Nina to keep pushing forward. It wasn't just about getting the money back, it was about holding the scammer accountable and ensuring that Nina's dreams weren't destroyed by someone else's greed. With the investigators' help, they eventually found the scammer's location and had him arrested. The man faced charges of fraud and was brought to justice. For the first time in months, Nina felt a sense of relief, but the emotional scars of the scam would take longer to heal. With the scammer behind bars, Nina and Grace focused on rebuilding the business. They rebranded Sisterhood Bakes, this time with more caution, but also more confidence. Nina took control of the creative side, adding new pastry lines and incorporating more artistic elements into the shop's design. Grace helped with the logistics, ensuring the business ran smoothly and sustainably. The bakery's popularity soared, attracting customers who admired the artistry and passion behind every pastry. As the business grew, the sisters' bond grew even stronger. They had learned that sisterhood wasn't just about sharing blood, it was about supporting one another through thick and thin. Nina, once unsure of her place in the world, had found her path. With Grace by her side, she realized that success wasn't just about financial gain, it was about perseverance, creativity, and the people you had by your side. As the bakery continued to thrive, Grace and Nina began planning for the future. They envisioned opening more locations, expanding their offerings, and even creating an online store. But this time, they were in it together, stronger than ever. The scam had almost destroyed Nina's dream, but it had also shown her the true value of her sister's love and support. Together, they were unstoppable. The future was bright, not just because of the bakery's success, but because they had rediscovered the most important thing in life, family. With their shared vision, they knew that no challenge was too great. Their journey was just beginning, and they were ready for whatever came next, side by side.